Start, quit, start, quit. You do this, you do that. Nothing sticks. You start this, you start that. No focus, no discipline, no momentum. You're unfulfilled, you have no purpose. Look, in this video, I'm going to tell you all about monk mode. I've tried a lot of different routines. I've tried a ton of new habits, but this one stands above them all. So what is monk mode? I first stumbled across monk mode years ago when I was going down a rabbit hole and I fell across this Fast Company article with the author Greg McKeown. In this article, he just highlights what his take on monk mode is. In the article, Greg states, monk mode means shutting out the world for a time. To go just a little bit deeper than that, it's this period of enhanced focus, discipline, and productivity towards accomplishing a specific goal. And it's often done in seclusion for a set amount of time. To cut it short, it's this blanket term for leveling up your life. What's actually pretty interesting about monk mode is that it's not this rigid step-by-step program that you have to implement point by point. You do have to set some parameters, but it's very flexible in terms of what you want to accomplish and what you want your lifestyle to look like. Let me explain that. So I'm going to give you some examples of monk mode from others, as well as what I do for my own monk mode protocol. Then by the end of this video, you have a solid understanding of what monk mode is and how you can create your own version to work best with your life and what you want to accomplish. The basics. First, the main characteristic or foundation of monk mode is isolation from distraction from the outside world. This is all to enhance your drive, your productivity, and your focus towards achieving a specific goal. From there, you lay the parameters to build your environment. You take it upon yourself to adopt this isolation and the self-discipline practice that is the lifestyle of a monk. Now, going back to that McKeown article, he explains that his monk mode process went like this. It's a relatively extreme approach to take, but my wife and I decided that I would write from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. every single day. I did that for 5 days a week for about 9 months. I worked from a small office, but in it I found space. And in that space, I found creative freedom. So you can see that his was not every single day. It had the weekends built in for a break, but he had that time block set out as a non-negotiable from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. During that time frame, it was nothing but total uninterrupted focus. Now, there are other versions of monk mode that go as far as semen retention, a dopamine detox, and avoiding stimulants like caffeine. I know it can get pretty intense, but that's really the whole point of going monk mode. So my first round of monk mode was way back in 2014 when I was training for the CrossFit Games. There was a lot that went into this process, from nutrition, recovery, training, and believe it or not, furthering my education in creating workout programming as well as human performance. My daily routine was very rigid and I did it in 6-week time blocks. So it'd go 5 weeks on of intense training, followed by 1 week off of light cardio work and some technique lifting work. My day always started about 30 to 60 minutes after I woke up. I would hop on some type of cardio work. I would either go for a run or hop on a bike, a rower, a treadmill, and either do intervals or 45 minutes of steady state work. Following that, I'd do about 15 minutes of stretching and get ready for the day. From there, in about a 3 to 4 hour block, I would get some food, I would coach some clients, and then I'd hit my second session, which was generally strength work and some type of sport-specific conditioning. Immediately after that, I'd have some lunch, I would coach some more clients, and then I would spend that time working on education on the human performance side, as well as the workout programming side. And then to wrap it all up in the evening, if I wasn't coaching clients, I would either do another conditioning session, I would stretch, or I would do some skill work. So you can see that for 3 years straight, I was very regimented. I didn't drink, I didn't go out. I didn't really do a lot of things that would inhibit my performance. It was just pure isolated focus. Believe me, I know that routine is not for everyone. I don't even do that routine anymore. But what I'm trying to show you is that my monk mode protocol has evolved and yours can too. So since I no longer compete in the sport, my version of monk mode is more tailored towards performance in my career and life in general. Monk mode protocol 1.0. So after some really difficult years in my life between 2016 and 2019, I didn't really follow a monk mode protocol. I picked it back up in 2020 and I started very small. I'd started like this because I needed some momentum. I needed to get out of the hole I was in and start to progress again. My monk mode at this phase of my life was very simple and it was was so much different than when I competed in CrossFit. The first thing I did was I set a theme that I wanted to focus on for the entire year. And then to stay accountable to that, I did one thing every single day that was dedicated toward focusing on that theme for the year. It had to be in alignment with that theme, so there was no phone, no distraction, absolute total focus, whether it was 10 minutes or 10 hours. I didn't set a time frame. I just made it a point to sit in some isolation and perform the work. So after doing that consistently for 1 year, I actually noticed some progress. So I kept doing that for a couple years thereafter. It was simple enough to get me out of the hole that I was in, get me some momentum, and get me back on the right track. So 2020, it was the year of changing my circumstances. I went on this backpacking trip that was total isolation, no phone, no distractions, no nothing. And I got a lot of clarity in my mind. It was also the year that I started this YouTube channel. 2021, it was the year of discipline. I stumbled across the 75 Hard program, which led me to complete the 365-day Live Hard program. 2022, it was the year of building my foundation. I bought a business, I got married, we bought a house, and I spent over $10,000 in acquiring new skills through coaching that was going to level up my life in the future. This version of monk mode for me, 1.0, it led me to a lot of progress in life. It led me to progress in a pace that I could sustainably keep up with, and it gave me the adequate time to master that process and become pretty good at it. But now, out of necessity, I've got to level up my version of monk mode again. I actually decided in late 2022 that I had to elevate my version of monk mode because of an event that happened. You see, my grandmother experienced a severe stroke, and the impact that it had on my family, where every single person had to adjust physically and financially, it left a ripple effect. I knew that I had to level up in some way to prevent this from ever happening again. Look, emergencies are going to happen regardless of if you're ready for them or not. My reason for leveling up is to try to avoid that ripple effect from ever happening again, to be able to better absorb the impact. Enter Monk Mode 2.0. My new version of Monk Mode is a 4-phase approach, starting with Phase 1, reduction, Phase 2, reflection, Phase 3, planning and preparation, and Phase 4, execution. Phase 1, reduction. Your environment is everything. It is so absolutely critical. If you want success, you have to clear the clutter from your environment. Personally, I needed to find more structure and more organization within my environment if I wanted to reach another level of success. I'm sure you probably heard this at some point, but it really rang true for me. It's a messy environment leads to a messy mind. For me, I started by cleaning up my office. I did some simple things like reducing what I didn't need, creating some space, and making my own adjustable desk. Then I went to what I use on a daily basis, my phone, my tablet, and my computer. I reduced my apps and I simplified the look so when I do need to get on my computer or my phone or my tablet, it's very clean and easy to navigate. Phase 2, reflection. So this is where I set my annual focus. I still do this because it's such a valuable part in my monk mode that I know it'll be valuable for you if you try it. I started this because, like I mentioned, I'd gone through a pretty rough time, and in early 2020, I realized I was spinning my wheels. I knew I needed some more targeted focus to create the life that I wanted. You see, I was working very hard, but I wasn't working smart at all. I generally start this process around December or January, but the time frame really doesn't matter. Just do what works for you. Now, I use this time to look at the past year and simply reflect. This process always involves me writing out my successes as well as my failures throughout the past year. I got to know how it went so I can know where to go. To make this very, very simple, just pick a focus that is in alignment with the life that you want to build, but also one that builds on the person that you were last year. Phase 3, planning and preparation. Now, I said earlier that monk mode is really what you make of it. It's all up to you. And I told you that a lot of people have different criteria that they use as a bit of a checklist to help them achieve monk mode. But this is the part that I want you to be aware of, because if you create this long list, all you're going to do is become a task checker, and you're really not going to get as much done as you want. I mean, you saw that my initial monk mode was very, very simple because I was in such a bad spot and I just needed some momentum. So when you're making a task list, just think of the ones that are going to be most effective. So I'm going to list out mine, but keep in mind, I didn't make any of this up. This is from trying a ton of different routines, trying a lot of different habits, and really finding what works for me, kicking what doesn't, and then making my own variation of what I feel like is the best and most effective protocol. I've got 7 criteria here, and it starts with number 1, 10 minutes of meditation daily. The second part, getting sunlight and salt water every single morning. Third, work out for 45 minutes every single day. Number 4, drink 1 gallon of water daily. Number 5, time block with deep work. And this is no more than 4 sessions a day. It's 90 minutes on and 30 minutes off at a time. Number 6, follow a structured eating plan. I follow intermittent fasting at this phase of my life, but you can follow macros, carnivore, really whatever works for you. And number 7, taking 1 full day off of work every single week and completely dedicate that to my family. Look, you don't have to go overboard on this, and really the less tasks that you have, the better. It's going to be way easier for you to execute this without getting overwhelmed. The better you get at it, feel free to add some tasks, but don't overwhelm yourself right off the bat. Phase 4, execution. Now you set your plan in place. Let's talk about time frame and execution. Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video, monk mode is designed to be done for a set amount of time. It's not designed to be your overall lifestyle that you do from now forever. It's designed to have some breaks in between. The reason why is that in monk mode, you're expected to fully focus with no distraction and sometimes isolation from the entire world. That alone is quite difficult. We're not meant to be isolated as humans. So this is a very intense protocol. I mean, just think back to Greg McKeown's monk mode. He took the weekends off and he only did his monk mode for 9 straight months. There are people that design their monk mode to be 21 straight days or 30 straight days with no days off. For mine in particular, I have my set day built in every single week on Sunday, totally off of work, but also 1 week out of every quarter, I'm taking the entire week off. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna go off the deep end on my diet and not work at all. It's gonna be a lot more relaxed. It's not so intense. I'm gonna have a little fun. It's gonna let me have some time to recover my brain and reevaluate what I need to do for the next round. Now for 2023, this is my year for education, intuition, and execution. I don't know if you're like this, but I'm betting you probably are if you're watching this video on building a habit and building a routine. I'm a guy who thrives in routine and structure. I also find that when I'm in structure too long, I get bored and ultimately I get comfortable. It's very, very easy for me to get caught up in information consumption and forgetting all about the execution part. The execution is always uncomfortable for us because we have to take what we learned and actually put it into practice. It takes some work. That said, my focus for the year is to maximize the execution. My plan is to lean on the intuition from the education that I've acquired and that I'm going to continue to acquire. Then I have to act. Since monk mode is all about making it what you want, you have a lot of freedom with this. But the main idea always stays the same regardless of what you choose to add in your protocol. It's dedicating a specified time to total uninterrupted focus, all in an effort to catapult you into this better position in life. So if you have questions about this, comments, or you just want to start a conversation on it, put it in the comments below and I'm totally glad to start a conversation. I enjoy hearing from you guys and seeing what you're up to and what you're trying to accomplish. So until then, I will catch you guys on the next one.